A lot of you do your research before you buy a stock or ETF, which is music to my ears, but then some of you want to keep up that research and stay ahead of the curve by watching your investing portfolio and managing it with cool tools. The problem is that these tools are usually pretty expensive and also kind of confusing. So I found some free ones that I use that I wanted to share with you. This video will highlight some tools to analyze and project with graphs, help you forecast, different free dividend calculators and trackers, and then just some general info sites and tools that really help when trying to make a decision on the best investment moving forward. I'm also going to share a super cool way that you guys can either make some extra money or that you can learn some stuff without having to pay a crazy amount, like having to enroll in school or going to like a $1,000 seminar or something. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, but more on that later. My name is Nolan Govea. My students call me Professor G, and I made this channel to make investing simplified. Now, like I said, the wisest of you are doing your research. Whether that is which running shoes to wear to help keep you going strong, or looking up pictures of the food on the menu for a restaurant you're in to make sure that it looks like what you'd actually like to eat. You guys are just so smart. Now for investing, this better be where you're spending some extra time in that research hub. I hope you hear what I say on this channel and the things that I like to invest in, and then I hope you take that a lot deeper and do the research yourself. So here are some tools that I use to research that you can use totally for free to help you out. So for general info and like consensus expert ratings, there's three main places that I like to go. The first is Morningstar.com, and here you can look at a bunch of different things. There's a crazy amount of information. You can look at different topics that they have, some investing ideas of what they're thinking. A lot of the times I'll just look at this best investments tab, and you can just kind of start from there, looking at different top performing ETFs or bonds or anything like that. So Morningstar is a great place for you to kind of get started and be general, and once you start finding things that you're seeing on there, then you can go a little bit deeper and look at that in different places. Another general place that I like to look is SeekingAlpha.com. Seeking Alpha is great in that same way. You can look at some different news or market data, but what I like to do is find a specific company, maybe something like Johnson & Johnson. I really like this dividend tab to look at the dividend growth specifically. So I like to look down here and see, generally, how is the dividend growing? And we can see the CAGR, we can see how it's been growing year over year. There's also just so many different things that you can check, like Johnson & Johnson versus the S&P 500. And with Seeking Alpha, you can just sit on that thing for hours and days at a time, and you'll be able to learn a lot of different things that they have out there. The third tool that I like to look at is just Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance has a great mixture of the market and then also a lot of just different articles and things, because it's important to know not only that the market is up or down, but maybe what's going on that might be leading to this market up or down. You could put together a watch list, you could put together your portfolio to see how you're doing. There's also different types of screeners like the ETF screener. And within something like that, you can put together all the different things that you want within your ETF. Like say you want dividend, or you want high growth, or you want it to be international, but you want it to have at least 3 stars on the Morningstar rating. Something like that, and it'll show you all the different ones. Again, this is going to keep things quite general, and then once you start finding things that you actually really like, then that's when you can go a little bit deeper into some of these other things that we're going to talk about. This next free tool that I really like is for those of you that are specifically interested in dividend investing or that already are dividend investors. While this next tool isn't only for dividends, it's just one of the best ones that I've found that has this specific feature. And this is MarketBeat.com. With MarketBeat.com, you can look at different financial calendars, different research tools, market tabs, market data, stock lists, a whole bunch of different things. With this research tool, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do on this, different types of trending stocks, some stock screeners like we talked about before. But for me, my favorite is this dividend calculator. Because with normal compound interest calculators, you kind of figure out what's the total return, say it's like 8% or something, and if you're gonna put in $100 a month for 10 years, at 8% per year, how much does that totally get you? And that's great to understand the total return, but we're not understanding what if there's a little bit of dividend growth within that? How much money could that be? So this one takes into account all of those. So you can put in something like your starting principal, if there's a tax rate, because I know that a lot of people get worried about the fact that they have dividend stocks or dividend ETFs in a brokerage account and they're scared to invest because there's a tax associated. So this gives you all of that. We can see the annual dividend amount increase per year and the share appreciation, which you'd be able to find those numbers from those earlier ones, like especially finding that dividend CAGR from seeking alpha from before. That's what's going to give you the annual dividend percent increase per year. Once you put all that in there, then we can calculate the dividends, and then we can see that if we used all those numbers from before, the ending balance would be a little over $1 million, and you could see that your total return is 150%. And then the other free resource that I really like in specifically dividend investing comes from my buddy Ryan Williams, who has a dividend YouTube channel, but this video here actually goes over his free dividend tracker spreadsheet and how to use it. This thing is super in-depth and will help you track everything, and it's totally free. I'll link to his video below where you can learn more and get that spreadsheet for free. And then the next software that I use is specifically for forecasting, because you want to figure out how much money are you possibly going to have, but you want it to be as accurate as possible and get very specific. But before I get to that one, I want to explain something that's actually going to get you to that next level of just knowledge in so many areas. You all know that I'm an actual professor, but the thing that I care most about is people learning. I am a huge advocate of people learning things specifically outside of the classroom whenever possible. And this company has taken it to the next level. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members who come together to find inspiration and take the next step in their creative journey. This is the largest online learning community for creatives with a wide depth and breadth of topics ranging from illustration, graphic design and photography, to music, marketing, and productivity. My personal lecturing is always more practical than just philosophy, so one of the things I like best is their learn by doing approach to teaching, where each member can create and share a project after completing a class. That's absolutely amazing. If you're looking ways to level up in your career or start a new side hustle, Skillshare has classes in freelancing, entrepreneurship, marketing, and social media, which should make a lot of you very happy. One video that I really liked recently was under the entrepreneurship tab and took me through some super solid ways to build out an actual side hustle. This was very practical information and some great ideas. If you want to teach on Skillshare and build your brand and your wallet, they have ways you can do that as well, which I'm definitely going to be looking into myself. Right now, the first 500 people that use my link below will get 1 month totally free trial of Skillshare. So use my discount code linked down below in the description so that you can try it out for free today. So moving on to the software that I use specifically for forecasting, and my favorite is one called tipranks.com. This one is by far one of the ones that's going to get you the deepest into individual stocks or ETFs. Let's go with Amazon. Right away you can see some different analyst ratings, mostly a buy. We can also see different types of forecasting and what it's done the past 12 months. We can look at an actual technical analysis of some sort. You can also see different charting here. The next type of software that I really like is one for projection specifically and looking at your portfolio overall. And this one's called Portfolio Visualizer. You can look at different types of things, fund screeners, asset class correlations, different types of portfolio optimization and asset allocation. I really like looking at the back tests. You can back test it super far back. If we want to look at the S&P 500, versus maybe QQQ and say that this one is 50-50, this one is 75-25, this one is 90-10. Then we can look at the different types of portfolios here and we can see which portfolio actually does best. The one that ended up doing the actual best from the furthest back that all of them are around was actually portfolio number 1, and again, portfolio number 1 was half and half, which on a side note is pretty interesting because some people have a problem with my 3-fund portfolio saying that I'm including the S&P 500 when I'm also including value and growth, and they say that that's redundant. But for me, any portfolio that I've ever backtested and that I've ever looked at future projections for, if you have the S&P 500 in, either way you look at it, the portfolio just does better. So that's one of the big reasons why it's big in my 3-fund portfolio. But anyway, Portfolio Visualizer is great because it lets you actually play out scenarios if you were to change up the percentage of your actual portfolio. I know a lot of you have the 3-fund portfolio or very similar to what I do, but I do get questions like, what if I move it from 33% of this to 50% of this? Well, now you can kind of take a look and see these are some actual numbers based off of data that might actually happen. The last one here on this list is one that I really like specifically for checking on fund overlap. Now, fund overlap just basically tells you if you're buying 2 separate ETFs, how much of the ETF is already covered within one or the other. And as a reminder, I don't think fund overlap is necessarily bad. It's just good for you to understand how much you're already investing in so that you're not over investing in one thing when you don't know that you're doing that. For me, I hold 2 separate growth ETFs within my portfolio, but I only hold about 15% of each one because for me, what I want is 30% total of growth ETFs. Yes, there's going to be a lot of fund overlap between the two, but it's still doing my overall strategy of 30% in total. Anyway, the best research place for this is ETF Research Center or etfrc.com. And this one is just super cool because you can put in the 2 funds and you can see how much of an overlap there is. So all the time I tell people that VU and VTI are pretty much the same thing as far as return, and you can see that they have such a crazy overlap here. 99.4% of VU's holdings are also in VTI. So that's just kind of crazy. It also tells you the different sector drifts, like which one has more. It also tells you what types of actual individual stocks they have, which in each one. If we look between VU and SCHD, we can see that there's only about 11% between the two. So I really like putting those together. To see my top 5 ETFs within my personal portfolio, watch this video now. And to learn how to set yourself up fully and each step of the way in the best investing possible for you personally, watch this video and let me know what step you're on.